Hello there, Tim Curran, co-president of Curran Group again. As you can see, I'm by myself today. When we last spoke about 10 weeks ago, it was just before Illinois went into its shelter-at-home place. We were at the office with my brother Mike joining me. Our filming was done by some of the marketing people at Holland. Um, Fortunately, they knew how to do lighting. They had their fancy cameras, scripts and everything all prepared for us. Not the case today. I'm at home, still in semi-lockdown. My brother and I have not been together in those 10 weeks. So you get me alone this time, and you got my wife and my iPhone doing the filming for us. So in that 10-week period, I'm sure people have a lot of questions about how things are going, where do we stand today? Let me begin with safety and health first, as that's the primary focus for all of us. You'll have to excuse noise in the background because that's the other part of filming from home is we don't control the noise down halls or corridors. So you'll hear all the wildlife and stray airplanes flying overhead. How are we doing? I'm happy to report that at this point, our companies have done a terrific job in maintaining safety and health for our workers. To date, we have one confirmed case of COVID-19. That individual has fully recovered, is back at work and doing well. So we've been blessed that following all the procedures and protocols and all that you do on your own, both at home and at work to protect your safety, your family's safety, is extended to the work safety group as well. As we mentioned last time, we've been led by Ed Muncie, our corporate vice president of risk management and safety, and by our chief legal counsel at corporate, Greg Preeves. Between the two of them, they've been leading a COVID-19 team that has developed all of our pandemic response plans, taken care of handling all of our requirements, making sure that we satisfy various local orders and ordinances, both as we shut down and now as we're opening up. Great job by all of you. Please keep up the good work. Those policies and procedures are all done with an eye towards making you and your coworkers, as well as your families at home, safe as we go through all of these difficult times. So now, from a financial standpoint, how are the businesses doing? I guess I'd begin with the statement that we have as our tagline, strength through diversity. The variety of businesses that we have, all, as we mentioned previously, remained open as essential businesses under all the different shelter-in-place orders, which meant we were able to continue to work. That has allowed our companies to respond correctly, appropriately, with safety in mind, but also to keep working. Obviously, things have changed. There's new personal protective equipment requirements. There are new protocols on how you go about doing your daily jobs. Many of us have been required to work from home, conduct all of our meetings remotely. We've all learned how to do things virtually these days. We've had to close our offices and no longer see customers or vendors. If you think your life has changed, think of those poor salespeople that we have out there. They're no longer able to go to lunches, to have fancy dinners with customers, go to sporting events, all on the company dime. If your life has changed, think how theirs have done. Sorry, sales teams, have to get a shot at somebody. What hasn't changed over the course of the last 2-3 months has been the dedication of you, our workers, to getting our customers what they need in a safe and fair manner. You've continued to deal with their needs while protecting yourselves and those around you. For that, I can thank you from the bottom of my heart, and our family thanks you as well. Whether you're a factory floor worker performing your duties every day, a field worker, somebody in the office who's no longer there and able to do work on site but has to do it remotely from home, you've all continued to manufacture tile, to produce paint spray booths, to install roadways, to weld rail together, make car parts. All of you have contributed to the success of our company during these last 2 months, keeping things moving forward in a safe and secure manner. Despite the pandemic, we continue to satisfy those requirements of our customers, and they're very appreciative of that. I thank you on behalf of them. How are we doing financially? Well, that strength through diversity does come into play when it comes to financial impacts. Our companies participate in a variety of industries, have a variety of ways that they go to market. In the case of Crossville and Global Finishing, we've seen fairly rapid impacts on new orders. In Crossville's case, they don't tend to operate with a very long backlog of orders. Orders received this month are typically shipped out within 30 to 45 days. So as the economy was disrupted, Crossville immediately felt some impacts and slowing of their business. We had certain parts of the country completely shut down. Places like New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts, all ceased construction activity. Some of our largest customers, McDonald's, for example, stopped doing remodels across the country during this time period. All of those had an immediate impact on Crossville. As the pandemic was getting underway and we were starting to see those impacts on our company, we actually asked all 4 businesses to reassess where they stood and to look out and try and come up with some different scenarios of what the possibilities would be over the coming 6, 12, and 18 months. As a result of that, both Crossville and Global Finishing had to make some adjustments in our workforce. In Crossville's case, the decision was made to lay off a number of our workers. Roughly 10% of the workforce was laid off. Others had temporary furloughs that they had to deal with, as well as pay adjustments. Management worked hard to try and find the appropriate balance between layoffs, furloughs, pay adjustments to respond to what they anticipate to be a fairly lengthy recovery period in the construction market. None of those decisions were made lightly. It was very many sleepless nights for both them and at Global Finishing in trying to determine what the fairest and most reasonable approach was. We don't take lightly letting people go. We don't take lightly impacting people and their incomes. But for the betterment of all, we do have to make adjustments and plan for the future and what that really looks like. In Crossville's case, as I said, in April, we faced layoffs. I think we're in pretty good shape right now. We'll see what comes and how the rest of the year unfolds. In Global Finishing's case, they actually entered this year with a very strong backlog. It meant that their first 6 months of the year was fairly secure. As the pandemic unfolded, unfortunately, we did see orders that would have impacted the second half of the year start to slow down. Some cases, projects were put on hold or outright canceled. As that management group began to assess what was going on and what the future looked like, they too recognized that we had to make changes in our employment structure. And in their case, they opted to furlough approximately 15% of their workforce, move forward at that level and see where things unfolded. They continue to perform very well. They've had actually a very good start to the year, much better than last year. Has them on pace through the first 4 months of the year. They're actually ahead of their original 2020 budget. However, we do see that impact coming in the second half, and they've had to react accordingly. At Holland, a little bit more stable position for Holland at this point in time. The year started out on track with their budget. They've held their own to that budget through the end of April. Typically at this time of the year, as we move into summer months, their activities peak. We don't see that typical summer peak coming this year due to the loss of revenues by their key customers, the railroads. As their shipments have fallen, that will impact at some point Holland's ability to continue to grow their business, both long-term and in the short run here through this summer. Those impacts so far have been minimal. We're still optimistic that by later in the year, as the economy begins to recover and revenues go back up for the railroads, we may actually see some recapture of what we will lose in business here over the next couple of months. As a result, Holland has opted not to take any formal furlough or layoff actions at this point in time and just continue with monitoring the situation and with business as usual. At Curran Contracting, the news is actually much more positive. In the first quarter or 4 months of the year here, Curran Contracting, both in Texas and here in Illinois, has secured a number of very key large projects, which will have them busy for the balance of 2020. Just this past week, we secured a number of private market jobs that put us in very good shape to actually beat our budgets for 2020. So in Curran Contracting's case, it's all about execution this year. They still believe they will hit and exceed their sales budgets. And so it's really a matter of getting that execution in place. So for a combined Curran Group standpoint, when we entered this year, as we mentioned in that prior video, we entered the year with no debt, very strong cash financial positions. That continues to be the case today. We have not seen an erosion in our cash position since the beginning of the year. Typically, the first half of the year is slower and a cash drain on us. We've been able to manage that effectively here through the first several months of the year and still remain very solid from a financial standpoint. Should be comforting for all of you to know that, again, that strength remains there to support us as we move forward. While all of the things that I've mentioned can create a certain level of stress, I can assure you that the companies actually are continuing to look forward to what comes next and where can we go in the future. So it's not just doom and gloom and respond to some crisis. At all of the companies, we are looking at new and better ways to get to market and explore new opportunities. Just this past week at Holland, for example, we had discussions with a couple of people that we actually have over in Australia looking to start a welding opportunity business from a contractor standpoint over in Australia. Following that teleconference that we had, or video conference, we went ahead and approved the construction and shipment of our first mobile welder to Australia, to be followed shortly by a second unit to get that business off and running. About 45 days ago, we approved one of the largest capital expenditures for Global Finishing Solutions in its history, buying some automating manufacturing equipment, which will help improve our quality and speed our production processes significantly. That equipment will be delivered probably around the fourth quarter of this year, positioning Global Finishing to be in a great spot as we move into 2021. Even at Crossville, we've continued to see new opportunities in different distribution channels. Historically, we've sold through independent distributors and sold directly to a number of national accounts. We now have some non-branded product that we're looking to produce in the marketplace, as well as some opportunities with some of the more major retail chains in the country. All of those give us opportunity to sell more product and move forward going into 2021. Even Curran Contracting Company will benefit this year. Last year, we jointly with another company opened a new asphalt plant in the area. That business is off to a great start here in the beginning of 2020. It looks very promising to contribute for the balance of the year. So I guess in summary, business seems to be stable, is the way to see it. We will wait to see how everything else progresses as we move forward here and we begin to enter these reopening phases. We will see how the economy bounces back here in the United States and what long-term impacts that may have on our businesses. With that reopening, I do want to emphasize more and more the importance of you to continue to adhere to the safety protocols, the trainings that we've put in place, the recommendations that are being made in terms of how to protect yourself going forward. You see the pictures that came out over the Memorial Day weekend of people partying, large crowds gathering. This is the time not to give up on what we've gained. We've paid too big a price not to continue to follow the recommendations that are put in place, whether that's from the company or any of our state, local, or federal government recommendations. This is not about politics. It's about preserving your jobs, your safety, and your family's safety. I don't think any one of us would willingly, knowingly expose our parents, elderly grandparents, our children, anyone in our family to anything unnecessarily. We've all learned how to live in the world of seatbelts. We've learned how to adapt at airports and go through different security screenings as the world has changed over time. This is just another small step. We'll see where it all winds up, but in the meantime, please, please continue to practice good hygiene. Keep your distance from people. Wash your hands, wear your mask where appropriate, take care of those around you. That's the most important impact that you can have on our operations and on your families. I'm going to close with something that I came across the other day. It was a publication or a little writing by the governor of Kansas, Laura Fanucci, if I pronounce her name right. And I think it best summarizes kind of where we are and what we should be looking forward to and hoping for. She had written, "When this is over, may we never again take for granted a handshake with a stranger, full shelves at the store, conversations with neighbors, a crowded theater, Friday night out, a taste of communion, a routine physical checkup, the school rush each morning, coffee with a friend, the stadium roaring, each deep breath that we take, just a boring Tuesday, and life itself. When this all ends, may we find that we have become more like the people we have always wanted to be, that we were called to be, and may we stay that way, better for each other because of the worst." Thank you all again for all that you contribute to our success and ongoing business. Please stay safe, take care of yourselves, your families, and your coworkers.